afternoon, and welcome to Late Night Bride. Needless to say, 2020 was an interesting year for all of us. And now as we start 2021, we want to celebrate again. And we want to celebrate with you. And how are we going to celebrate? We're going to talk to some of the movers and shakers of Pasadena and surrounding areas of all the venues and places you can go to celebrate. Because that's what we're all about. We're about love, we're about life, and we're about connection. But most of all, we're about you, the bride, the bridal couples, and everyone that has anything to do with weddings. So come along, let's have an adventure, as tonight we're going to visit Noor in Pasadena at the Paseo Center, and we're going to enjoy a wonderful evening with Robert Shazarian, who is the owner and founder of Noor, and who has been a major force in Pasadena over this very historic time. Come join me. Let's have some fun. So, here we are, Robert, and here we are at Noor. I am so thrilled we're finally together.
Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I mean, after 14 months, we're reconnecting again and getting ready to start opening up for events.
So tell us where you were March of 2020.
March 2020, we had our last event here. A woman was celebrating her 44th birthday, and she hired Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg.
Oh my
And the
goodness.
USC marching band kicked off the party, and she rented a bridge and walked over that with naked guys, half dressed, and it was just, I told my staff, I said, if this is the last party this year, I don't want to say I'm okay with it, but we went out with a bang, and it turned out to be the last party in 2020 that we had.
So what was your first step?
For us, the first step was when we got the letter from the health department saying you have to shut down. We spent probably about a week hunkered down, like at home. It's like, okay, there's nothing we can do. But there was really no communication coming out as to what the future held or how long we were gonna have to stay closed. And I was depressed being at home for a week, and I said, we have a commercial kitchen here. I called all the staff back, all the management team, and I said, okay, whoever wants to come, we have a commercial kitchen. Let's prepare soup once a week for the community. Let's do something and get the word out. So every Friday, anyone from the community would show up, and we'd have plant-based soups, and then we started doing whole meals that we just give out to whoever wanted to come by every Friday. And that kind of lifted everybody's spirits.
So tell us about the projects that you worked on. Let's see some of the projects you worked on over these last months.
I like it. It starts with right here where we're standing, but when we, for the last 10 years, we had the mall concrete that went all the way up to our side patio. But we put in the chevron tile, and we added our logo over on this side. But the real renovation starts inside.
Okay. So let's walk in and see how beautiful Noor is.
Let's go.
So once we decided, or I guess we didn't decide, the universe decided, that we were not going to be holding events for a while, what does one do? I think you go back to that list of, I wish I had time to do tasks and projects. And that, I think, is exactly what Robert did. So tell us about I'm going to get back to that when I have time projects.
Yeah, well, November 2020 was our 10-year anniversary. So we had planned sometime in 2021 to shut down for a couple months and renovate the place to freshen it up. But now we had 12 months to do that. So we hired an interior designer, and the goal when doing the remodel was people already booked this place. They already loved it for what it was. So we didn't want to drastically change it because that would upset some people. So it was really a fine line of like doing a refresh to the place, but also trying to find a way to hold on to a little bit of what we had previously.
Well, you have such a classic line.
Yeah.
It has a bit of Art Deco, which we have from the days of Pasadena, of early Pasadena.
Right.
The Gamble House is here, the Huntington is here, the Tournament of Roses is here. You're involved with all of those. So that look, that Pasadena flavor, so to speak, you have it. You're also cool and contemporary too.
Right.
So what was your first project that you started on?
The first one was the floors that we're standing on in the Sophia foyer in the ballroom. We loved the floors we had previously, but it was a marble flooring that when alcohol gets on it, it would stain it. And there was a lot of work every year to buff it out and grind it and that sort of thing. And in the ballrooms, we had a polished concrete with epoxy, which was really nice and shiny and clean looking, but really hard to maintain it. So we went with an Italian porcelain flooring throughout the whole venue is just, people are walking in here just absolutely stunned by it.
Look at this. This is stunning. It makes the room look bright and large, which it is, but it enhances it. You can shoot light on it, and being a designer by trade, I look in a room and it's like, not what can I do to it, it's what can I do with it.
Right.
And this is such a beautiful site, that you can just little details, what I call intentional details, you do beautifully here. So let's talk about the place that everybody loves to go. Let's talk about your beautiful bar.
The bar was hand-built and brought into our space back in 2009. We had it built specifically for Noor. And it's really the thing that we wanted to have grounded the whole venue in. It grounded like the 1920s. A beautiful look. The bar was originally brown, and over the redesign period, we stained it all black, just to give it a modern, fresh look, and stained all the molding in the venue black, and put in
a little bit of Tiffany.
A little bit of Tiffany, yeah.
That little black dress.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
You put on your little black dress, which is classic.
Yeah.
So the bar, the floors. Let's talk about the lights.
Yeah.
Did the lights get a refresh too?
The lights, we did. We replaced all the chandelier drums. We added like a little gold band around it so that it matches the ombre wallpaper that you see over there on that wall.
Okay.
And we refreshed all the wallpaper throughout the venue as well. But it was really just coming up with a lighter look for the chandeliers, and at nighttime so that it accentuates the swirls in the ceiling above. There's little LED lights to really highlight the swirls up there.
Let's go to the heartbeat of Noor. Let's go meet Sophie. It's stunning, Robert. It's stunning.
Thank you.
So tell us about it. Tell the story about you and your love for this, because I know you do this from your heart. It's a calling, not a career for you.
Right.
And I think that makes a world of difference. There's a lot of us in this industry that we do it as a job. Yes, we're creative, and yes, we like to be of service, but there's a difference in you.
Yeah.
So how did you become the man that you are today?
Ooh, how far back do we go? Well, I had a career previously as a music producer.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, at Sony. I worked for Sony Music for 16, 17 years.
Wow.
I had a recording studio within Sony Music, so they would send artists to me like John Legend, The Killers, Snow Patrol, Kelly Clarkson, Taylor Swift, Keane. All these artists would come in and record like different things, stuff for their album, exclusive recordings. But the music business started to go through a big revolution in the 2000s. With everything being downloaded for free.
Right.
So I kind of had an existential crisis because I loved music. It was my passion since I was a kid. And my wife was in the middle of planning her brother's wedding. And the thing is with places to go have weddings at, if you're any sort of ethnicity, whether you're Irish or you're Catholic, there's places that have banquet halls, and they know the food and the culture really well.
Right.
But then the locations aren't always great, the decor is kind of tacky, the service is kind of spotty. So then anyone that has a budget, they end up going to a hotel or country club, and they get the location, they get the service, they get the decor, but then the food suffers. That cultural component that is so important with most weddings, especially ethnic weddings, it's just missing. And if you want to bring it in, you have to do outside catering.
And then it's a whole nother piece of it. And then you've got a budget.
Right.
And load in, load out. It's, yes.
Right. And we were finding, specifically for his wedding, that we came across that and the budget doubled just to get the things he wanted at a hotel that had Wolf King Putt catering. And so that was kind of the spark for Noor. It's like, why don't we do a place that kind of combines the decor, the service, the location of a hotel or country club, but have it grounded with great food that caters to cultures. And so I went back to Pepperdine, I did the executive MBA program, and I did all the marketing strategy, macroeconomics, everything on Noor. And my wife did all the interior design, and my brother-in-law handled all the build-out for the place. And part of doing that was, none of us had any experience with catering, zero.
But you love food.
I love food.
There you
love
go.
Food.
If you love food,
Yeah, and you know good service when you experience it.
Absolutely.
So, but it was taking our, we all kind of divided and conquered. And one of the things that I learned in the MBA program is because I got all the menus from all the hotels and country clubs within a 10, 15 mile radius to figure out what we would charge. And one thing I saw was it would say, okay, the chicken is $50. But then down below it'd say plus 24% service fee, plus 10% sales tax. So you never knew what that chicken was really going to cost you. So one of the first things we did with our menus is we said, let's already include the service fee and sales tax.
Right.
Make it easy for everybody.
Right.
It might show initially a higher price, but if you can tell people that price already has, it's the final price.
It's inclusive.
Yeah.
And inclusive really does mean inclusive.
Right. And that's probably become our number one driver for what clients tell us that they appreciate most about Noor. It's that it's transparent from the moment they download our menus to the final contract, and they walk out of this place like it was exactly what they thought it was going to be, if not better.
Well, and that's the whole thing. You know, there are so many components in this. When you're a venue, you know, you have, it's a big overhead. It's a big overhead because you're all inclusive. You have the venue, you have the tables, the chairs, the china, the linen, you know, all of that. Then you add the food, and then you add the service. I mean, I think basically people just bring the flowers and themselves pretty much, and entertainment.
Yeah.
Although I see some screens around here that could be really fun.
Yeah, you realize the more you produce events, that the more you can control the environment and the whole customer experience, that you have a better shot at being successful. So over the years, when we first opened, we had drop-down projector screens that were 1080. Now we have a 15-foot 4K video wall and 85-inch 4K screens throughout the venue. We have LED uplighting. So the whole venue is grounded in Art Deco and Art Nouveau design, but we put all these modern touches in it to give everybody what they wanted for their wedding, whether it's a photo booth or LED lighting, you know, that sort of thing.
It's also that weddings are a story. And it's like screenplay writing for me, in the sense that the ceremony is like the first chapter. So that's going to feel a little bit different. And then, you know, so your lighting is going to be different, your ambiance is going to be different, your music is going to be different. And then you're going to come into cocktails and the energy goes up and it's a little bit different. And then you come to dinner. Well, dinner may come down a little bit. And then you come to party. Right. And what's beautiful about here is you take them through that journey all the way from beginning to end.
Right.
We can see the changes, you know, the lighting cues, the lighting changes, the sound changes, you know, all of that. And so that when people actually come here, they do come here for a wedding or for a celebration, but they leave knowing that they've had an experience.
Right.
It's not an event, it's truly an experience.
Yeah, and I mean, not to downplay any of the other vendors involved with the weddings, but to me, after producing 3,000 events, the two that are the most important that a client can hire are a planner, coordinator, day of coordinator, and a DJ or the entertainment. Because working with somebody that knows what they're doing and implement everything that the client paid for. I have no idea when couples come in here on the day of the wedding, like what kind of flowers they picked or how many flavors the cake is, or if the DJ had a wireless mic or a wired mic. Somebody on their end needs to have all those details and make sure it's implemented, and our event manager ensures everything they got the rest is implemented.
Right.
So if that part's locked in and then they have a great DJ or entertainment, there's a party.
Well, because you're talking about energy.
Yeah.
But you're also talking about connection. And the DJ or the band, whoever that MC, quote unquote, is, really is the driver on this. And then the event producer or the planner, you know, they need to know what the show is all about.
Right.
And it's more than a checklist. You know, there are 3 levels in planning. There are designers, which will make it beautiful. They are not going to get you down the aisle. There are coordinators. Those are the ladies with the checklist. And they're checking off their list, but they may not know about the other pieces. And then there is the producer, and the producer oversees the designer and the coordinator, but they also have the overarching vision, and they have the fiscal responsibility. And I think that's where we get confused in our industry, is that we think that every day of planner is a planner, and they're probably a coordinator. And that's getting clarity when you're defining who your team is, because it really does take a team to do this.
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about the room.
So in the Sophia Ballroom, it's about 5,200 square feet. And when we first opened, and I don't take credit for this because I was in school during this time, but we had carpet in both ballrooms.
Okay.
And it was this Las Vegas-y looking orange carpet. You could probably find it somewhere online, some Google images of it. After a year and a half of doing it, I would always call couples and say, "What'd you think?" You know, and I tracked almost $250,000 in lost sales because they didn't like the carpet that we had. And maybe they didn't like carpet, period. Because once you put in a carpet, you're attached to that, unless you cover it. That's what you have to put your linen towards that, your flowers, everything kind of has to match to that. Mm-hmm. So we pulled it all out. We closed down for a month. We put in this polished concrete with epoxy flooring in there, super shiny, and never looked back until we had 14 months on our hands. And then there was definitely some things with the epoxy floors that required a lot of maintenance to give it that shine.
Right.
So we found this Italian porcelain floors
Wow.
that we, before we went and installed it all, we got samples and we poured red wine on some of it, bleach, vodka, and oil. The things that always end up on floors after events at the end of the night, and came back on Monday and just wiped it all right off. And it's so durable. So we decided to put that in the whole place.
And you should, because it is stunning. It is stunning. I mean, look at the high gloss. I mean, your chandeliers, it's a mirror.
Right.
It's just beautiful.
And it's not slippery. It's like you can dance on it, but it's not.
I thought about that when I first walked in. It's like, and the answer is no.
Yeah.
It's no. But yet it's danceable.
Right.
How about an amazing stage? Talk about the stage.
You know, one of the things that I always wanted to do at Noor was have a stage that I was proud of, and I was never that proud of the stages we had previously. So when we had the time, we had the same company that built our bar in the Sophia foyer. They came in and they built a brand new stage for both the ballrooms. And
Nice.
the molding that we had here, we wanted something Art Deco, but we wanted something that also matched the venue. And the Ella Ballroom already had that molding at the bar, so we just transferred that molding here as well and just added some gold accents to it so that it matched the gold leafing that we put. The chandeliers above used to be silver leafing, and we switched it to gold leafing just to tie in the gold and black themes in here.
You know, I was thinking about that. But this has such warmth.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and then when it reflects on the dance floor, I mean, look at this. You can see it in, everywhere that you go.
To me, it looks like jellyfish now when I look down on the ground. But the chandeliers we got from Prague. All the chandeliers from Noor we ordered from Prague 11 years ago.
Wow. Oh, they've been here since they're the originals.
Yeah.
In this room, what's your favorite spot?
The balcony is my favorite spot of all of Noor. In this room, I love the video wall. I love seeing images on the video wall. I love seeing what people do. When I had my wedding 26 years ago out at a ranch in Malibu, I did a slideshow with music, and I have a picture with my mom watching the slideshow I put together, and I'm crying my eyes out. And I love to see when families do slideshows, showing their families come together at the weddings. It's kind of like a moment. Sometimes they're honoring guests, that
are no longer with us.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
grandparents, great grandparents, and such.
Yeah, it's kind of a little in memoriam, but also showing the two families coming together, and then all together in one room tonight to celebrate the new family that the couple has created.
One of the things that I always love to tell a couple is get a videographer. And they'll get the photographer, they're always in on that. But when I say don't forget video, and they're like, well, we don't need video. And it's like, no, photography is wonderful, but there's no voice. And there are people that will be at your celebration who you want to hear their voice.
Right.
It is your legacy. It is your family. Your children will want to hear them and that. And even if you just do it for the ceremony, because for the bride, she's the last one down the aisle. She's not going to see everything. So video is a key component. So please, don't forget the moving pictures. It's telling your story. So speaking of the balcony, let's go take a look out on the balcony because there's quite a view, and it's a historic view because there's a very special event that happens only in Pasadena on New Year's Day that you can view from the Noor balcony. So welcome to the Sophia Lounge balcony. And tell us what happens out here because this is quite a popular spot.
New Year's Eve is usually a big party here, whether it's a wedding or we throw on a New Year's Eve party. And what's great about that, in addition to being a New Year's Eve party and there's a lot of drinking and festivities here, there's 100,000 people camped out here the night before,
Absolutely.
the big day, and then 2 a.m. this party ends, and at 3 a.m. a rental company comes and builds a riser out here, and we sell 100 tickets for people to watch the Rose Parade go by on New Year's Day. And what's funny is, because you could probably relate to this, at 8 a.m. sharp, that B-2 bomber flies right over Colorado Boulevard, and you don't see it until you hear it.
Right, stealth.
Yeah.
The stealth.
Yeah. And then it's gone. And then about a half hour later, the parade reaches us. So I tell everyone out here, I said, go get a drink. It's going to be 30 minutes before the parade's right in front of us. But I mean, the floats are all like 2 stories high. Yeah. So they're literally right in front of you. It's incredible.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Here's the good news. It's back. You know, I know I've already been on a meeting with the Tournament of Roses to be a part of it this year. And so I'm excited about that as a volunteer, because it's all volunteer. But when you've been in a community like we have, you are a part of the community. And, you know, and you are, a cornerstone. You know, midway on the parade route, you know, people come to see you.
Yeah. It's enjoyable. We just put tickets on sale again. So
I know. There's always the magic, isn't there?
Yeah.
I don't care how old we get.
Yeah.
You know, when you see that, you hear the band and you smell the flowers, because you can smell them up there.
Right.
You know, it's phenomenal.
And the thing is, I've seen it from this balcony every year for 11 years, except for last year. But I could tell you, each time I live vicariously through the 100 people that have never experienced it before, I still get excited because I see them getting excited about it.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Who has the parade on their bucket list?
Yeah.
Come to my house. I don't care if I don't know you. I really don't. You know.
She'll be giving her address out shortly.
Come to my house. If it's on your bucket list, I know it was on mine, because I'm not from California. I mean, I was one of those kids who grew up watching it on television back in Minnesota and Ohio, in the cold, in the snow, going, I just got to get there. Well, I got here, and I'm so grateful we're here. So let's go see more. Let's go see Ella.
Ella, yeah.
And then we have something new to reveal. We're going to do a little behind the scenes so that you can see what's coming up for Noor. Let's go see Ms. Ella. So there's a story behind the names of the 2 ballrooms here at Noor, and they're nieces of yours, correct?
Right.
And so the big ballroom is for Sophia, and she's the older niece?
Correct.
Okay, and the one that we are now currently in, she is Miss Ella. And so tell us about, this is my favorite. I love this ballroom. I love it for its intimacy. I love it for its just beautiful warmth. The chandeliers are outstanding. I love the gray walls. The new floor is stunning. You cannot go wrong with that. But there's just this feeling of the 1920s. And when you look at the ceiling, it really has the detail. And it feels a little bit like the Huntington Library. The rich woods, the appliques of the woodworking, all of these little intentional details that you've put in here. But tell us the story about the nieces. How did they get billing?
They had very classic Hollywood, old Hollywood kind of names, Sophia and Ella. And I remember after we decided on the names, we had a little family gathering here, a little dinner to kind of celebrate Noor. And it was time to go walk over to the Sophia side. And I was watching my 2 nieces walk together, holding hands over to the Sophia side. And I never had daughters growing up. I have 2 boys. So it was interesting to see how the 2 of them were communicating. And when they were right in front of the Sophia ballroom entrance, Sophia looked to Ella and said, Ella, this is the Sophia ballroom. It's a lot bigger than the Ella ballroom. And I was like, wow, mental torture starting at 5 years old, you know, but it was cute. It was cute.
So tell us a little bit more about this. You know, how many does it seat?
Yeah, I mean, the capacity always depends on how many chairs you put at a table. What we decided to do in both ballrooms is we purchased 72-inch rounds. Right. So comfortably 12 people. If you have a couple kids there, 14, but I like 12. So I always try to tell people this room is good for about 120 people with a dance area. A lot of times, because the look of this room, a lot of people like to have cocktail parties in here, and the fire department gives you your capacity code. So in this room, cocktail style, we could do up to 250 people.
Oh, really? That many? Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And the Sophia can do up to 600 people cocktail style and about 300 seated. You
had shown me what's coming new for Noor.
Yeah.
So let's go show them a little bit behind the scenes of what's next, what's new, and what is totally Noor. Welcome to what's next at Noor. Robert's going to give us a tour on what is up and coming because as in every event, there is expansion, evolution, and new. And Noor is definitely new. So take it away, Robert, and tell us what's next at Noor.
All right. So what we did is when we decided to renew our lease here till the year 2030, we decided to acquire a couple more spaces. So we took over a yoga studio that we're building 2 new sales offices and our wedding suites here. And we also took over a wine bar that we're building a new boutique event space called the Garden Room.
Oh, lovely.
That'll be good for rehearsals and baby showers and kind of daytime gatherings. I think it'll be fantastic for that sort of thing. But being in here right now reminds me of being at Noor in 2009 when we took over that entire space, because we took over a jazz club. It was called the Jazz Institute. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, and we built the Sophia Ballroom there. And the Ella Ballroom was a day spa called Amadeus.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That I do remember.
So we took over those spaces, and this is what it looked like when we were under construction. We'd give guests a hard hat to give them a tour of the place, to say, this is what it'll look like for your wedding. Here's some renderings. And we're kind of back to that now because we're betting on the future. We're betting that people want to have weddings again. And so it was time to expand.
And the vicinity, because now you're literally right across, you're on the same floor.
Yeah.
You're close to Miss Ella and Miss Sophia. So if you are a bride and her entourage, you literally just fluff and fold here and then step out. It'll be really fun to see that, as they process into, whether it's for the ceremony, out on the beautiful patio, around the fountain. I mean, there's so many opportunities here.
Yeah, I mean, each of the suites is going to be about 500 square feet. So with their
Nice.
own restrooms and little mini bar, fridge, and flat screen TVs and stuff. So they'll be able to lounge and refresh before they go back in for the big party.
What's the big takeaway from this past year?
Bet on the future. It's kind of like when we opened up Noor back in 2010, we were just coming out of the Great Recession.
Right, I remember.
And the big takeaway for us was people are always going to have gatherings. They're always going to get married. They might not have the budget for filet mignon and Grey Goose, but they're going to get together. And so that was kind of the drive. And as long as we can control our overhead, we have a business model to put on events.
It has been an interesting year. It has been a year of growth. It's been a year of discovery. It's been a year of review. It's been a year of really going within to find out who you are, what you do, but also who you impact. And with Late Night Bride, my commitment has been in order to get couples offline and back into their engagement. Engagements are on, celebrations are unfolding. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. We're here to cheer you on. We're here as a resource, but most of all, we're here to celebrate you. So come join us. Celebrate at Noor with Miss Ella, Miss Sophia, Mr. Robert, an amazing team of people. It is all here for you. From our hearts to yours. Yes, it's been a year, but just look at the year in advance and what's ahead of us. Because what you said, let's bet on the future. I'm betting on you. I'm betting on you. And I hope that you're betting on us because we are here. We are here to help and we're here to celebrate. See you soon.